looks like 8:32. Alright, so first thing is sign all current bills. I looked them over. The only one was the DigSafe one. That, it's like $1 per time.
Yeah.
Like, we actually have them 57 times?
So it's something that, it's a notification thing where we get notified, like, and it's something we've
Okay,
been
so
doing
they
for
bill us
quite a
every-
few years. So they bill us, I think it goes back about 10 or 11 years we've been doing it. And it was something, and it's something, they send a quarterly bill. So that bill for the 57 requests was for a 3-month period.
But that's just them notifying us somebody's digging, not.
Yeah.
Okay, that's, I was like, we had to call them 57 times, that seems.
No.
All right, that makes sense. All right, so, I'll take a motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion to sign all current bills.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Schedule date and time for the next meeting, so right now we have it October 22nd.
Right,
We'll do 8:30.
right.
Number 4, vote to authorize the chairman to approve executive session minutes. So one of the things that was discussed at, prior meeting was, so we don't have a delay in, executive session minutes being signed and, on the record. Jim had, suggested that the board vote to approve the chair to sign off on the minutes, because then they can be entered into the record as soon as, they're drafted and looked over. This would make it so we wouldn't have to do an executive session just to approve minutes.
Okay, I'll make a motion to authorize the chairman to approve executive session minutes.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That passes.
And I haven't read the minutes of September 24th, so if we could wait till the next time.
Okay, yeah. All right, so number 5, we will push that off to the next meeting. Zach's report. I haven't heard anything new from Zach. He sent me the stuff for the bar rack. I'm still kind of looking it over and got the gist of it, but trying to fully comprehend it. But it is something we are, definitely have to look at.
Did he have a price?
So there were 2 prices, I believe. One was much more expensive than the other one. One was repairing what was already there. And then the other one was for replacing it. And even with the price difference, it's more expensive, but to me, it kind of makes sense to actually replace it than try to repair something that's 40 years old,
right.
and how long is it gonna last? But otherwise, I haven't really heard any issues or anything that came up. I don't know if you've heard anything from down there. I've checked in with Zach a couple times. He said, things are
Okay.
going, so, they're keeping up with the workload, so, I do gotta ask him if he can help me out with some questions on the bar rack, those quotes, but, I'm gonna try to get with him sometime this week on that. Number 7, discuss the permit and plans for repair or replacement of the sewer lateral service in 22 Washburn Ave. So last week, it's kind of a bit of back and forth with the owner and a couple contractors he had. They were looking at definitely repairing the lateral, but they were gonna provide him with pricing to replace the whole lateral. So one of the contractors asked, what the process they would have to go through, so that he could kind of come up with the pricing. I explained he'd still have to do a permit. The board might decide to do something different than the fee. With the
Right.
fee, we might decide to do a reduce or, waive it, but I couldn't say definitively because we'd have to meet over it. So he said, but the contractor said right now their plan was to just repair the lateral.
And they will have a plan, though.
Yeah, so, I don't know if the rain is kind of pushing that off. I'm gonna call him, when I spoke to him Friday, the contractor was planning on being out there today to, repair the lateral. So, I'm gonna give him a call after the meeting and see if that's still on or if the rain kind of might have pushed that off, so hoping it doesn't, but I don't know how it works with these companies having to dig up.
Now, you were up there, that 22 is on one side of the street and it runs down to 13 driveway on the other side of the street.
Yeah. Yeah, so, and that's where the break is like right in front of where 13 parks their cars. So it was all flood and sewage right underneath their cars and stuff. The only thing that like we were kind of talking about that might be confusing is what we were kind of thinking, and Mass Rural Water is still going to come out and scope the laterals, is I know there was a house after 13 that burnt down years ago. So me and Zach were talking and kind of thinking that 22 tied in with the house that burnt down's lateral, because there's no, when you look at the laterals at the main, there's no, you can figure out all the connections, but you're kind of one short. And just the way the lateral runs, you got the house 22 up here, and it's almost like the lateral runs to the left of the house, away from it, like off to the side of it, then it comes back to the main, so, I gotta get in touch with Zach too. My Mass Rural Water's supposed to come out at like 11:30-ish, I think, today. I'll reach out to the property owner, but as far as repairing, I told him, we don't need a permit for that. I would recommend arranging with Zach to have him inspect it before they
Right.
cover it up, and, that they also needed to clean up the sewage that
But
was
is
dumping
that
out.
pipe repairable, or do they need to replace the whole thing?
So the contractor I talked to did say it was repairable, but there's a good chance that he's probably gonna wanna look at replacing it. But with the time and effort to repair or replace the lateral, he said they were probably gonna look at doing that at a later time. Just because of the way the laterals run, and they did, between the Board of Health being involved and it being an active leak, they kinda didn't give them a lot of time to do planning.
Right.
So they were focusing on repairing it for now, so that it's not leaking anymore, and then they're gonna explore the different options for replacing it. And depending if the
Yeah, 'cause that
owner,
would be my thought, just to replace it, but.
yeah, and
they said they don't have
the
time
owner
right now.
kinda had that, he said that, even the contractor said, it is kinda pricey for him, but because of the Board of Health involvement in that, they had to kinda move quick, so it didn't give them a lot of time to plan for it.
Okay.
So, all right, any other questions about that?
No,
All right.
as long as he has a plan.
Yeah, like I said, I just
Give
gotta
to
get in
Zach,
touch with
yeah.
him. I don't know if the rain is throwing it off or not, but discuss articles for the fall special town meeting. So I know last meeting we kind of discussed maybe we might have to do an article for the bar rack. And then possibly, we can get a price from Ty and Bond in time, how much they would want to update the sewer rate study. I gotta get, that guy's number from Ty and Bond from you, Jim, so I can
Sure.
reach out
Chris
to.
Bone?
Yeah. So I know we'll have to have those done, I think before by the next meeting, I believe to,
Actually, articles are due by the end of, by Friday.
okay.
So didn't you say we could submit the article and then put the amount in later?
Yeah,
Okay,
but not too much later.
Right.
yeah, I'll find out, as soon as I get the number, I'll call and find out how long it'd probably take them to, even a number that we can kind of work with. Discuss and vote on revised sewer permit, I should have that later today. I messed up all the formatting, it took me a while to fix it. So I just got a couple minor things to throw on there that I, caught on to afterwards.
So we can do that next time. if
Yeah,
you're ready.
I wasn't worried in a huge
Yeah.
rush, we've been running the same permit for years, so, yeah, I'd rather take the time, get it right, so, a year from now, we're not going, oh yeah, we gotta update it again. All right, number 10, discuss hiring at the wastewater treatment plant. So we do have one applicant for the chief operator position at 3:30 today. I'll be with Jim interviewing
Okay.
for that, 3:30. Resume looks pretty solid, so, hopefully good comes from that. We haven't gotten anything for the mechanic. Number 11, leases report.
So basically, I don't really have a whole lot to say. I mean, things are fairly quiet now. I am in the process of, I'm gonna be doing the next round of commercial billing. I have to get all my figures I need first. I have 2 accounts I need to get the figures from the water district, and I'll probably reach out to them before the end of this week. I haven't even gotten the water bill yet, so I don't even know who's working in there now, because the woman that was there before Donna, she quit. And I don't know if Carol is back there or who's working in the office there right now.
It'd be worth maybe reaching out to Dave and ask who.
Yeah, I'll
Who to
probably
talk to.
get in touch with Dave and, hey, Dave, can you tell me who's taking care of the office at the water district now? And I also, had an issue that I brought up this week because I got, I've had this issue that kind of comes and goes, where the way the, extensions are for the phone system, I get a lot of calls that people are looking for other departments, and normally this isn't a big deal, but I mean, I've had to deal with a couple of irritated people who got the sewer department when they were looking to call, say the planning board or the board of health or whatever. But it seemed like this week, and I think it's because they had that, they've been doing that automated message about the assessors going around to reassess properties. I got a larger volume of calls. Most of them were people looking to speak to someone in the assessor's office, and I I was hoping that maybe something could be done with the extension numbers where if you can't change my extension to a different number, if they could perhaps change the answering service email when people call a main number at the Shepherd Building, so the sewer extension is listed as 0 first, and then the other extensions are in numerical order, so if somebody calls and they find out that the sewer department is 0 and they're not looking to speak to someone in the sewer office, they would, I wouldn't be getting as many calls that are meant for other offices, and I actually, I talked to Griffin yesterday, and he said that him and Rich iHacker are working on it, and they're looking into what they can do, if anything can be done that's, that's not gonna be too complicated, or, so that's basically that's.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always, might always be an issue, because most people, a lot of people just hit the first button because they don't know who they're supposed to talk to, or a lot of phone systems say, are 0 for, an operator or whatever, but a lot of people don't bother listening to all the extensions. Luckily, I'm pretty sure our phone system's easy enough to transfer calls. I mean, if Rich and Griffin are already working on it, great. I think it might just wind up being a matter of, once they say their thing, okay, hang on, let me transfer you, and transferring the call. But we'll see what Rich and Griffin come back with, I guess.
I mean, I know it would be unrealistic to eliminate completely. I mean, some of it's just a case of a person who did call a sewer department, but they called the wrong department, because I've had a couple times when people called me where they wanted to get a Title V inspection, and then I would just transfer them
Well, I
over
mean,
to the
some of
Board of
those,
Health.
that's, they
And
probably
they,
don't
and
know
they
who to
thought it
call.
was, yeah, well,
Yeah.
but I mean, a lot of them are people who, like I had one guy call me and he wanted to get a hold of the building inspector's office, and he was, he's like, oh, I got the sewer department, I want to speak to the building inspector, and of course I transferred him, but I just, I mean, the calls, they come and go, like I've had days when the calls that are meant for other offices outnumbered the ones I got for sewer department business.
I mean, if Rich and Griffin are already working on it, we'll just kind of we'll have to wait and see what they say.
Yeah, I
There's
mean,
nothing else we
I
can do
just,
till they,
yeah, I mean, it's not, it's not as urgent a matter as, like, say there was it's not like it's not like a health or safety issue or anything like that. It's just a thing where, I'm getting.
Annoying.
It's a little bit annoying. It's,
Mr. Chairman,
Yep.
if I may, Rich had asked me to look into it, so let me explain why that works like that. So, because there's limited number, there's so many departments in town, and there's limited number of spaces that we can do. It goes from 1 to 9, and then you got 0. And so, because, the old system had, everybody's, department listed, we wanted to kind of replicate that, still give people the option of selecting, the departments. If we were to do like a double digit or more, that would actually cost the town more money, because we would need another voice over automated answering system. We have one and those are the spaces that are there. Anything more than that, would cost an additional monthly fee. So that kind of explains how we got there. And so just by default, the sewer department has 0. And I know that, you know, in some organizations, 0 goes to an operator.
Yeah.
But we don't have an operator here. And so we can certainly try to maneuver this around and change the numbers. However, if we were gonna keep the same number of departments, somebody's gonna end up being 0.
Yeah.
And so, we can do that, we can try to, maybe, take a department that doesn't have as much traffic, you know, phone-wise, that we could move it to that. However, you know, we may be back here with, you know, the park department saying, I'm getting
Right.
all these calls, and therefore, it's not working. So it's something that we can do.
Well-
I would also, Mr. Chairman, you may want to ask Lisa to create a phone log to see exactly how many phone calls that the office gets.
Oh, I was gonna say, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure the phones keep
Well, no, yeah, but I mean, you know, and then we can track to see how many calls and what the nature of those calls are, if she could write in the comments and different things to that nature.
Okay, well, here's the suggestion I made, that if it would be problematic to change my extension number is when I've called
No,
the
your
main
extension number
number.
has nothing to do with this.
I've called the main number, the 5701 number, and when it starts listing the extensions, it doesn't start out with 0, it starts out with 2 for the treasurer, and then it goes down and lists several departments before it gets to 0. I mentioned to
One is already
Griffin,
taken.
if it started out with 0 and listed that for the sewer department, and someone was on the phone and they heard extension 0s for the sewer department, then they would know that, well, I'm not gonna get the town clerk or the board of health or whatever if I call 0. I mean, it might not eliminate the, calls to other departments, but, I mean, you know, here's the thing. It's something that seems to come and go, where, I've had weeks where I didn't get any phone calls meant for other departments. And then I've had, and as far as keeping a log, sometimes people call and apparently I don't know if I get calls like when I'm not in the office where the person doesn't leave a message because that phone records all the phone numbers, and I come in a lot of times and it'll show that there were like, you know, 5 or 6 calls while I was out, and it'll show the phone number, but the person didn't leave a
Right.
voicemail.
But the reason why I was mentioning a call log is to see exactly how busy the office is. And I think it would help us, the board, and myself as the administrator, to try to see, you know, what the needs are for the office.
Okay, let me be clear. I do not get as many phone calls as some of the other offices in the building. I don't get as many calls as the town, the tax collector, or the town clerk, or some of the other offices. However, sometimes I get a phone call and I'm on the phone with one person for 15 or 20 minutes because I have somebody on the phone where they're calling about, you know, sometimes I have somebody where I have to explain a sewer bill to them or something, and it's something that, you know, most of the calls that I get, when I do get somebody on the phone calling for sewer business, they're not brief 2-minute calls is what I'm
Okay,
saying.
let me just interrupt here. Lisa's been asked for years to keep a phone log. I have yet to see one.
Yeah, I haven't seen one.
And I mean, I'm going back years, even when Mr. Beaudry was on the board, and further back than that, and never have I seen one. And I don't think she understands that you keep a log, because you can make a little note what the person called about, and then if they call and you know, if, even if you go into litigation on something, you have it right
Right.
there. And it's not just a matter of how long you stay on the phone with somebody, what are you talking about?
Sure.
If they have a problem or in their name,
I mean, it'd be something simple as, you know, you do a sheet for,
I occasionally get personal calls at work. Do I have to put those on a log if I get a call from my doctor or something? Do I have to include
Just
that?
the call, just where the number's from. But all the other calls that are related to sewer, we should know if people are complaining. And then they complain to you, and maybe we don't ever
Well, I
hear
mean,
about it.
here's the problem. I don't know what you wanted me to do with this log, but I get calls where the
Right in
person
it.
does not give a name. I mean, a lot of the calls I
Yeah,
got, the person didn't give their name. Someone will call me up and they'll ask for they'll want to talk to the assessors or
So,
to the
right.
building inspector, and I'll
Even if
transfer
it's
them
some-
over. I
so
won't
the log-
ask them for their name.
I mean, I could even make you a sheet, you know, this afternoon, it
No,
basically.
she can buy a book.
Well, I was gonna say,
Yeah.
doesn't even have to be a book, it, you know,
That way
do,
we'd have
do a
everything.
page for a day, you know, do a sheet for each day. So each day's calls are on one sheet. You know, the time doesn't have to be exact, but
And sometimes I get calls, sometimes I get calls where I'm not in the office, where someone calls me while I'm gone for lunch, or I'm in the bathroom or something, and I have to call a person back, and
keep it
so I would
log.
keep a log saying so-and-so called at 12:05, I called them back at, 12:45,
Well, no,
or...
it'd be something like, okay, you have the sheet for the day, approximate time, nature of the call. Somebody calls, assessor's office, take a quick glance at 11:30, transfer to assessor. You know, transfer to tax collector, takes 2 seconds to write it in. If it's somebody calls about a sewer bill, sewer bill, 15 minutes. I mean, the phone gives you a little timer for the call while you're on it. If you have to return a call, return call regarding sewer bill. It wouldn't be that hard to, take 2 seconds for each phone call. Like I said, just do one sheet for each day, so it's, day by day. You're not having to add the date onto it. You're doing one sheet.
And
Start it off
here's
in the
another
morning.
thing, and this probably isn't a widespread thing with municipal offices, but if you're talking about a phone call for a legal issue, probably the best way to have ironclad, documentation of the call is to record it, and I'm
Yeah,
just
that
saying,
becomes a big
a lot of
area.
private companies, if
I-
you call the customer service
Pub-
department, they'll have a notice that this conversation is,
Yeah, we don't
This is
have
being
that
recorded for-
capability, and it's a big hairy area.
yeah, I know
The
that.
thing is, plenty of departments keep a log of not only the phone calls, but visitors that are coming into the
Right.
office. I get it's a pain, but
It's part of the job.
it's part of the job, so that we can assess things like this. And like I said, it could be simple as, the sheet is for, the 18th. Doesn't have to be the exact time, doesn't have to be, right down to, this phone call was 15 minutes and 30 seconds. Just give us the time and a quick what the call was.
Yeah,
Oh,
what the
I transferred it.
question Or what the complaint or whatever.
Yeah, transferred to this department, transferred to that department, complaint.
I mean, I
about
will
this.
admit, I have some days where, some days I don't really get any calls.
And that's-
Occasionally, I have a slow day where so sometimes I have a day where if I get a phone call, it's more or less just an internal call, like Joan or
And
Or
that's-
it might be someone in the building calling me, like Dawn might call me, because, I have someone downstairs who I need you to get a copy of their sewer bill or something, or,
And that's fine. Like I said, a brief description, and we're not expecting the log to be filled every day. We get that. It's not always a large call volume. I don't think it's a hard, large ask. Plenty of departments do it. Plenty of places do it. For work, I have to document every little thing I do, because the theory in nursing is if you didn't document it, it didn't happen. So every little thing I do gets logged.
I mean, a lot of times I have a pretty good memory, because it's, like I can usually remember, like if you were to come into my office and ask me about my phone calls that day, I could probably say, well, I got a call from, somebody looking to speak to the assessors at 10 o'clock this morning or whatever, and I transferred it to them.
Like I said, this way we can compile, a whole month's worth.
I mean, I will keep a log, but I know I was keeping a log before, and I was giving I was making copies of the log for the board a while ago, and then, it was something that kind of, the board didn't,
The point is, you were asked to do it, so anybody could walk in and look at it if we had a question. That's why sheets of paper isn't gonna do it. I have plenty of notebooks I can give you.
Well,
It
I
won't
was
be
only
all-
thinking if we, did like almost like a printable spreadsheet, because then, instead of a notebook floating around, take like a 3-ring binder, do the log for the day, plop it in the.
Well, I was,
In the
Okay,
binder.
that's good, that's
Because then
good.
instead of having to make
Yeah.
copies for our meetings and waste all this paper,
But
we
don't-
just
I was-
review the
Excuse me,
binder.
we don't really need copies. We just need if you want to know something, what's going
That-
on.
so what I
You can
was
just
doing
walk
was
in
I was
anytime.
typing the log out on the computer, and I made like put the date on it, and then if I got a call, I'd type out, put down the time, and it's quicker to do it typing it than if I have to take a pen and.
And that-
if
that's
I have
fine.
a phone call that lasts like 10 or 15 minutes, and, where somebody was, I had to keep explaining the abatement process to somebody, or, it's a lot quicker to type it out.
That's fine, like I
than
said,
to
doesn't
write it
have to be a
down.
long, it can just be, a question about abatement,
Right.
15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever. Question about a bill, 5 minutes.
Be nice to have the name of the person that called too.
Yeah, I mean,
What do I do if the person doesn't give their name? Because here's the thing. If somebody calls me and they're looking for another department, I transfer them
We don't care
over.
about those calls. You can
But
just make a note.
but here's the thing. I've had people call me where they refuse to give their name. And a
all right,
lot of
so
times
I-
I've noticed the ones that don't give their name usually are the ones that are.
if they give their name, make a note of it. If they don't, it's not a, obviously somebody calling about an abatement or about a sewer bill, they're probably giving you their name.
Oh,
'cause-
yeah.
So like those ones, yes. I think you're making a mountain out of a molehill in every scenario that could potentially happen. If somebody calls and obviously we're not expecting, oh, what's your name? Because they're looking for the assessor's office. If in the conversation you're pulling up their name or whatever, then you make a note of it. If it doesn't come up, it doesn't come up. We don't have to ask them for, their name and all that. But generally, if you're pulling up records, you'd have a name.
Right.
Because I do get these calls sometimes from these, like title companies where I get somebody on the phone, I have a hard time understanding where they have a thick accent. And if they give their name, it's like, where do I begin as far as writing it down,
Can we move this subject because we're never gonna,
Oh, you said you were already doing it on the computer?
I was doing it on the computer for a while, and I did get several calls.
Okay.
That
so
were-
If
I-
you have one of those, can you email it to me just so I can look and see what you had?
Well, I was documenting the calls I got, because truthfully, I haven't gotten any calls this week,
Do you
except for,
have an
okay,
older one from when you were doing it that you could send me?
I could go back and look to see what I can find. I
That's
mean,
all.
it would
If
have
you
been
have
from
one,
a few years ago.
That's fine. If you could send me one, just so I could see what you were doing before. If not, no big deal. I'll make a quick spreadsheet and I'll throw a couple examples in it so that, you can document, and whether you want to type it up on the computer or handwrite it, that'll be up to you. At least it has something we can look at.
Mr. Chairman, just not to belabor the point here, but I've asked my administrative assistant, Griffin, when he started to keep a phone log, he's created a spreadsheet or a log that he keeps in a binder, just like you had mentioned. He would be more than willing to share a blank sheet with you guys if asked.
Okay, yeah, I'll shoot him an email.
And it's a simple, very simple
Yeah,
thing.
that's like I figured date off the top,
Yeah.
time, just, description, approximate duration. And, the name of that can get thrown into, the description, because, not all calls you're gonna have a name. But some you will. It's gonna be scenario by scenario.
Well, if somebody has an accent and I can't understand their name, I'll just put a question mark, that's all.
fine. Is there anything else for your report, Lisa?
Nope.
All right. Old business, we already discussed Washburn Ave, East Road sewer lateral. Have we heard back from?
I
I know
haven't
we
heard
sent
any-
that over to town council.
Yeah, they sent a letter, and then they were waiting to see if the town got any response back from that.
Okay. So I think we should reach out to them and be like, we haven't gotten anything, what's next?
Yeah, I mean, if that's what the
Could-
board wants to do.
Yeah, because my other question too was if, say, they apply for a permit in the future,
Mhm.
because this is ongoing, are we
Are you allowed to?
to deny
Okay.
it?
Let me check into them with council, and I will get back in touch with you.
All right. All right, number 13, new business. Anybody have anything?
No?
Jim? No? All right. Comments and concerns? No, nobody? All right, I will take a motion to adjourn the meeting. It looks like, God, I need new glasses. 9:03?
9:10?
Oh, 9:10? All right, take a motion.
Second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, meeting is adjourned.